And our average lunch, learn, and collaborate session attendance right now is about 32 participants. One of the other things that's really important is to think about, right, align what we're doing with math and with our state, what am I trying to say, with math and our state CEUs to make sure that we can get right credits, our continuing ed credits. And so in 2021, of the professional learning opportunities provided, 97.5% provided continuing ed credits for our DPI licenses, and then 92.5% provided math CPTs. And in addition to what we as an association offered, both the regional reps and the student rep in all of their newsletters that they put out were really sure to highlight professional learning opportunities or resources that are available for us as school psychologists to support the well-being of the whole child. And 100% of their newsletters have had promotion of some of these opportunities, including PL for promoting inclusivity for trans and non-binary students, increasing family support for LGBTQ students, women and girls with autism, countering coronavirus, statewide racism, and helping Black students feel at home in school, and collaboration with an interpreter. So those are just some of the different PLs and resources that have been promoted through those newsletters. And then finally, our professional practices committee has updated the referring and evaluating English learners paper, and we had a lunch, learn, and collaborate on that recently. And they created self-care PDP pathway support for those who wanted to have self-care as a PDP goal. And for anyone who might have that, Dr. Dana, that's still at noon, right? There's a small group at lunch connecting. If you chose to kind of connect and then have NCSPA check-ins around that self-care goal, you can look in the notebook. There should be an offering around lunch to connect back in around that. Our strategic area 2 really focuses on advocacy efforts. And so we've done a couple of things this year, created and shared the advocacy agenda. There were 4 advocacy training opportunities / information sessions. NCSPA leadership members met with state legislators, Superintendent Truitt, and DPI Exceptional Children's Division. And if you were at the advocacy reception last night, you heard Melissa talking about our advocacy tracker, so tracking responses and things people have said to legislators, contacts that they made. She shared last night an updated number that there were about 150 responses in that tracker. And then finally, I think it's been a year where we've really recognized each other in the work we're doing as school psychologists, particularly after last year, because we had a really high number of Practitioner of the Year nominees. We had 17. And 5 nominees for innovative practices. We haven't had those kind of numbers in a couple of years. So thank you so much for recognizing the work of your colleagues and choosing to nominate them for these awards. And it'd be great if we collectively together keep that up, right? Not just this year, but it'd be great to have 17 nominees every year. Strategic area 3 is really focused on increasing membership supports and services. So again, with strategic areas 3, as I talked about, getting feedback from the member survey. So we really try to make sure that we are promoting opportunities, events, and membership. And so part of that was through creating an NCSPA brand, which may or may not have started to notice, but our PR committee started created a brand for us so that we have more consistent coloring and branding and fonts. And so we become recognizable. When you see NASA stuff, you know it's NASA. When you see NC State stuff, you know it's NC State, right? So we want to become that, have that visibility. We also, Ashley will share with us a little bit, is about the membership portal. So I wanted another way where people could engage through an online community. We haven't had that in the past, so this membership portal will provide more opportunities for us to connect with one another. And so part of that was increasing, again, our tangible benefits by offering more PPE, offering opportunities to connect. using our new social media, or using our new branding to promote through social media, through newsletter, and through emails. And then finally, a strategic area 4 is really focused on improving operational excellence. And so this is more of the work of the NCSPA Executive Board and Executive Leadership Committee to really oversee the association's functioning, right? So we're talking about including finances, including operations, making improvements where needed. And so some work done there, you know, given that priority of social justice, working on specifically racial equity, we did implement the Racial Equity Ad Hoc Committee, and that's currently being led by our President-elect, Brianna Bradshaw. And the committee's using a racial equity lens to analyze data and examine NCSPA structure and framework. And so the committee's done a lot of work around analyzing and interpreting data, and is now in the process of getting ready to make recommendations to the NCSPA Executive Board for next steps. And like I said, as an association, we do have a lot of work to do regarding self-examination, and we're just getting started with that. Something the Fall Conference Committee did this year, using an equity lens, was create a more equitable speaker fee structure for our fall conference speakers. We've been working to balance the budget. We're having conversations about creating plans for some of our investment funds, and then making sure that we're sharing updates and board summaries through the NCSPA newsletter, so y'all know what kind of decisions the executive board is making. And so finally, as we look back and connect to our mission and vision, I want you to consider how you might lead, serve, and work to support NCSPA's mission and vision. One of the reasons I chose to run for NCSPA president-elect 2 years ago was because I realized that NCSPA as an association have provided me with a lot of professional growth, with advocacy, with opportunities to connect with colleagues. And I realized at that point in time, I was ready to give back and to serve my fellow psychologists. And so I invite you to really consider how you might be able to use your strengths, your interests, your passions, and your talents to support your fellow psychologists, either now if you have the capacity, or think about in the future. If you're like, now's not the time, that's okay. And so consider running for an elected office, serving on a committee, delivering professional development. We do better when we have a diverse body of school psychologists involved in NCSPA leadership, serving on committees, and in providing professional development for one another. So really just think what might be the right time for you to lead or to serve, and what might be the right work for you. So with that, I will pass it to Rachel, who will give us our legislative year in review.
Oh, I can drive this. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Okay.
Good morning. This is a powerful microphone. Hello, everybody. Oh, good morning. Got your coffee? Got your powdered eggs? Great. So, legislative year in review. I'm Rachel Beaulieu, and if I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet, I'm Bobby on behalf of the association, and it is an honor and a privilege. I have been doing it for a number of years, and I'm not supposed to have favorite clients, but truly, by way of background, I taught 4th and 5th grade in Alamance, Burlington, so I know there's some Alamance, Burlington people at the conference, and taught at Grove Park Elementary, was a teaching fellow, and then went on to law school and been doing education law and policy, advocating for an embarrassingly long amount of time. 21 years to be exact, which I can't believe. So, legislative year in review. What have we accomplished this year? Thank you, Jeff. I typically try to give you the top 10. I mean, I could go on and on and on about what we've accomplished this year. Obviously, the one thing that we hope to accomplish is not on this list because we are waiting, not so patiently, for the budget to become law. And for those of you, just show of hands, who's at the advocacy reception last night? We had a really great time, and if you didn't get to go this year, make sure you go next year. It's so much fun, and advocacy, in my humble opinion, is one of the most exciting things to do on behalf of the profession and on behalf of each other. And we're making strides now. Each year, we move the needle a little bit further in an effort to finally get the salary increases and the recruitment and retention dire needs fulfilled. And, maybe 5 years ago, where legislators did not know the difference between a school counselor and a school psychologist, now they know the difference. And that hasn't always been the case. So educating our legislators, even if you are not comfortable advocating necessarily and asking for $20 million, educating your legislator, your representative, your state senator about the boots on the ground perspective. Because one thing I have found over the years is that with all of our obligations to maintain confidentiality, which are very serious for obvious reasons, we are not good at, it's not a natural process to tell the most dire stories to legislators. And we can do it in easy ways by changing the name of the child, not even telling them the name of the school, all kinds of ways to tell these stories while protecting confidentiality. But it is critical. That's when the light bulb goes off in the legislator's mind and they realize, wow, I had no idea what our school psychologists are doing every day. And maybe only you can tell those stories. I mean, I hear them secondhand, thirdhand, and I know some of your stories, but to hear it from you in a personal setting with them, a professional setting over coffee, their office, over the phone, Zoom, what have you, that is something anyone and everyone in this room can do, because I know you all have those experiences. All right. So back to our top tier.
Yeah.
All right. 5 minutes for the rest. At the advocacy reception last night, I went over this briefly. The first item, potential raises for teachers, and because thankfully our salary schedule is attached to the teacher salary schedule, we are at minimum going to be getting whatever the teachers get. And the debate right now, and the ball is in the governor's court, because the Senate and the House sent a counter offer to him last Tuesday. And so now it's a wait and see what the governor comes back with. Is he going to say, best and final offer, here it is, take it or leave it, or I'm not going to sign your budget bill? Or is he going to say, okay, let's move the needle a little bit more. I want to have 8% salary increases instead of what you just offered me, which is 5%. We're still in that horse trading zone, although it's getting closer to the final budget bill than ever before. And the big picture is that the House and the Senate, who respectively, have proposed a 5% salary increase. The House and then the Senate has proposed a 3%. This is not across the board, folks. So it is over the biennium, meaning a raise for 21-22 and then a raise for 22-23 combined would, under the governor's package, be up to 10%. Combined in the House's package would be 5%. So because unlike years in the past, we're actually talking about, was it going to be a 3% raise, 5% raise, 10% raise? There is going to be a raise if we get a budget. So that's good news. It's just a long way of explaining it. And I'll stick around after this little 3-minute show. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them back, because I know it's a lot of kind of complicated legislative stuff. Next, the Senate, in its Senate proposal, and the Senate has done this before, it believes in a separate position allotment for school psychologists. This is now the second time it's proposed this new allotment. This would be good for us. Why? Because we get caught up in the big bucket of specialized instructional support allotment, which is a big mixing bowl that leaves a lot of local discretion. Does the superintendent want to hire 5 more behavioral therapists, or does the superintendent and the board want to hire 1 more school psychologist? So because the money can go to a number of different positions, school nurses, school counselors, school social workers, school psychologists, we oftentimes get lost in that shuffle. And because we're like unicorns and we're hard to find, and superintendents have to go out of state to recruit sometimes, or recruit across state lines, or recruit from New York or Pennsylvania, what have you, it is easier for them sometimes to hire a, let's just say, lesser credentialed behavioral professional, mental health professional. So having our own separate allotment would function as follows. It would take that discretion out. We would be in that mixing bowl of hire one or the other instructional support personnel position. This money only goes to hire school psychologists, which would be fantastic. Also, the Senate has put language in its provision, proposed provision. Now, this is not law, it's all in negotiation and final budget. So we'll see what happens here, God willing, by early November, maybe mid-November. I don't think we'll get a budget by Halloween. The Senate has proposed 10 million additional, with the imperative that every school system has at least 1 school psychologist. So they've recognized the shortages, and last data that I saw had about 25 entire school systems. This is not even counting charter schools, because you know charter schools also need school psychologists, but 25 entire school systems that don't even have 1 full-time employed school psychologist, which is, I'm going to use a complex legal term here, redonkulous. All right. The House, thankfully, has proposed a new recruitment retention position at DPI plus 1.7 million non-recurring to run this program. This is significant because, again, it gives our profession that special treatment, targeted remedy to hire and recruit and retain. And the way the program will run, if you want to look at it in House proposed budget, I can show you the language, but essentially there'd be a pot of money that this new person at DPI, a recruitment retention coordinator, permanent position, would be in charge of, okay, John from New York, you want to come and work in North Carolina, we'll give you a $4,000 signing bonus, and please go to XYZ school system. So recruitment, and also it works on the other end of the spectrum, whereby if I am getting ready to retire as a school psychologist, this bonus program can also work to, I put in my notice for retirement to my superintendent. My superintendent says, oh, we need you so bad. Please, 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 I'll do anything for you. And I can sit back as a long-standing veteran school psychologist and say, okay, I'll stay for an additional 15 grand. So you get more negotiating power should this become enacted, which I think would be fantastic for the profession. All right, I've got less than 1 minute left. I'm going to cruise through the rest because the money's the most important, let's just face it, right? For the first time ever, we've got official, on the record, in writing support from the state superintendent, Catherine Truitt, the Department of Public Instruction, and the State Board of Education. That's huge. That didn't just happen because they thought it was a good idea. It is because of your advocacy team, your lobbyist, Lynn McClure. It was a Sherry Thomas of the Exceptional Children's Division, Matt Hoskins. If he's here, you make sure you say super duper thank you to Matt. Next, you all know about House Bill 749 in Piedmont. Thanks, Jen. That was our main bill that we're hoping all of it or some of it gets put in the budget bill. So of the House and the Senate proposals, we're hoping that the governor weighs in and says, put all of that into this budget. Put both the separate allotment, the recruitment retention program, the DPI position, plus a bunch of new raises into the final budget, and that budget bill I will sign. So that's the big picture on the budget. Very quickly, other major milestones we accomplished this year, thanks to LPP and our president Jackie, our president-elect Brianna, and so many others, especially at DPI. We have Senator Bergen, if anybody knows anybody from Lenore County, or Senator Bergen, Burgin, his district. He drafted, and it didn't make it to prime time, but he drafted a school psychology fellows program whereby new school psychologist candidates could go to a public university actually public, or if we ever get a school psychology program in a private university, could go for free in exchange for 3-4 years service in a public school as a school psychologist. So for those of you who know, the Teaching Fellows program is like our own school psychology program, which would be fantastic. And it could work for a special ed teacher who chooses to go back and get a school psychology degree, which I think is the real one solution to your problem. All right, we got to move on, but you know about Lee and serving on the Leandro Commission. There was a hearing on October 18th, and Judge Lee, who's the presiding judge for the Leandro court case, has said basically, I'll wait till the General Assembly tries to fund Leandro in this current budget debate. And then in November, I'll come back and I will tell them how well or badly they did. So the judge is watching this budget process, and he has indicated in public that he is going to do more than just throw his gavel down. He is researching what authority he has to hold legislators accountable in either funding or not fully funding Leandro. So, you know, more like who needs soap operas when you've got Leandro in our legislature. Okay, I need to stop talking now, and I think Stephanie Ellis is on there as our member for the task force for safer schools. That also did not just happen overnight. We had to advocate, we had to talk to the governor's office, we had to offer credentials. So all these things that you see don't just happen because it's a good idea. It is because of the advocacy efforts. It is because the leadership of this association and your lobbying team, that's how these things happen. So we would love to have you as a part of the team, and Melissa and Alana are here or will be soon, and talk to them about signing up. All those who signed up, all those who signed up last night at the advocacy reception to be a part of LPP in whatever small or large fashion. We'll be reaching out to you soon, and we are so excited because LPP, yeah, you know me.
All right, thanks, Rachel. So now we'll get a financial, and then things get financial report from Jim.
Hey everybody, I'm Jim Fineman. I am the current treasurer for NCSB. Here is the budget for this year. This is kind of enshrined in the conference notebook if you want to take a closer look at this. The one you see on the screen is updated a little bit from the one for the conference notebook because y'all bought a lot of shirts at the store yesterday and the budget never sleeps. So I wanted to make sure that we had the most up-to-date numbers for today. And what you'll notice about this is that graph at the top left there, the green bars on the left are what we were expecting, and then they might be blue, they might be purple, and colorblind bars to the right of that are what we've actually seen. And you'll notice that there's still a lot of stuff up in the air this year because most of the money that we're spending right now for our conference. So I kind of put my forecaster hat on and tried to make some predictions about what might happen next. So in December, this is my guess as to what this is going to look like. When I'm forecasting, I tend to assume that our revenues are going to be a little bit more shy than we are expecting, and I tend to predict that our expenses are going to be a little bit more than we're expecting. So if it changes significantly from this, it's likely to get rosier for us as opposed to worse. I can't promise that, but that's how I tend to forecast things. So probably what you'll notice, there's a little black bar there for the total because that includes our investment accounts. And if I knew what the stock market was going to do, I would not be working as a school psychologist. I can promise you that. But probably the first thing that you'll notice is that the revenues, our income is lower than what our expenses are predicted to be this year. That is true. We are looking at maybe taking about a $10,000 loss on everything this year. But as I'm accustomed to saying when I'm going over cognitive results, there's a pattern of strengths and weaknesses here. It's maybe not best to summarize based on just that one. So let's look at some bright spots before we kind of talk about some ways that we can grow. First off, membership outperformed our budget expectations for this year. We were expecting to make about $25,000 on membership. We actually made about 30. So that's really great because that's specifically tied to one of the areas in our strategic plan. So when we do well with our strategic plan, that makes us more money. So investing in our strategic plan always pays off. We also made some pretty significant savings on our board admin costs, mostly because we had a lot of our board meetings virtually this year. There were also some other areas where we were able to kind of see some savings, and those were kind of as a result of our equity focus and making sure that everyone had kind of access to our things that actually saved us money when we focused on making sure that everyone could get to board meetings, that everyone could get to conference, and that we had accessible options. That saved us money too. So again, focusing on our strategic plan saves us money, makes us money. So that's really good. Also, one thing that you might notice if you just look at the line items on that budget is it looks like we lost money on our online professional our online professional learning. The reason for that, I think, is because we offered those lunch, learn, and collaborate sessions for free to our members, which is really great because that made our membership more valuable, which drove up that first point, right? So every time that we did have a online professional learning session where people did pay for that, it outperformed our expectations every time. So even though there's going to be a red number next to that in the budget this year, don't write off online professional learning. I think that looks really promising as an area for us to increase our revenues. Last up, our new reserves policies passed their first tests this year. In years past, we've kind of noticed that we want to have a little bit more security. So the Finance Advisory Work Group worked on making some financial reserves policies so that we have an operating reserve to cover big losses in revenue. For example, the global pandemic that's taking a year longer than anyone wanted to take it to resolve. We wanted to make sure that we had money to cover losses in revenue, unpredictable expenses, things like that. We also have an opportunity reserve for it's just like, oh, we've got a real opportunity here to take advantage of something. We got to strike while the iron's hot. Is there money for that? The answer now is yes. And we were able to use both of those reserves to do things this year, like get our new membership portal, which will allow us to kind of connect and engage better, even when we're not together in person like this. And then also we were able to take advantage of the fact that certain trainings like the NASP Advocacy Academy were more accessible. We were able to use our opportunity reserves to send some extra folks to that while it was very affordable. Two, if we do look at having a loss this year, so if we are looking at about a $10,000 loss, we can dip into our operating reserves for that. So, you know, we won't be hurt too bad. So reserves policies coming in really handy. We did some excellent work on that. Areas to grow in the budget for next year. Kind of the areas where we did take the biggest losses were from unpredictable expenses, things that either happen every so often, like every 5 years, there's a bigger cost. An example of that we'll talk about a little bit later, but we kind of want to make sure that we're charting those so that we can be a little bit better able to predict when we'll have an uptick in our expenses. Two, there are some expenses that just like, sometimes we make money on conference, sometimes we lose money on conference. So we can look at ways to kind of make that more predictable every year. We also, if you take the money that we have and you subtract our yearly expenses as well as our reserves, there is some money left over. So that does give us some opportunity to find new ways to invest in our strategic plan. So we're going to be focusing on how can we, you know, kind of make use of that money while also keeping our budget balanced. That's going to be kind of a balancing act, but we'll figure it out. And then last but not least, one of our big kind of predictable expenses that only happens every so often, every 4 years, we have an external audit, and next year is our next external audit. So this section of this meeting next year will be a lot longer, but we are looking forward to have the opportunity to kind of learn from that. And last but not least, I wanted to leave you with a question, which is, what do you think would grow the value of your NCSBA membership? Membership kind of tends to be our most reliable source of revenues. So if you have any suggestions for ways that you think we could increase the value of your membership, please do send the board an email, come talk to me after this. I would love to hear your thoughts and ideas, because that's really the thing that's going to help make the budget look good in the future.
Thank you.
Oh, Ashley's next.
So, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. We do have a few sponsors for our conference in person, and we really appreciate that. So WPS couldn't be here in person, though we really want to support your work, so they sponsored us. So they would like us to show this little video as part of their package. So we're gonna just check this out for a second.
Welcome to the WPS Online Evaluation System. In this video, we'll create a client, administer and score a form, generate additional reports, and view other features available when you buy an assessment for online use. Let's get started. First, we need to register or log in. Once logged in, you'll see your dashboard. This is where you create or select a client and view your recent activity. Let's create a client. Enter their first and last name, gender, birth date. Other fields are optional. Then click Save. To administer an assessment, click the Start Administration button and select a product from the bookshelf. Next, click Add Form, then select a form and delivery method and enter the respondent's name. Some forms are also available in Spanish. Click the Send button. You can administer the form in person or email a link to a respondent, such as a parent or teacher. Once the respondent answers the questions and submits the form, it can be validated and scored. Remember, you never pay for a form until it's scored. The score report opens as a PDF file in another browser tab. To view a Microsoft Word version of the score report or to generate additional reports from the scored form, select Reports. Report types vary by product, but we'll use the ABIS 3 for our demo. You can create progress monitoring reports to compare multiple instances of the same form over time. Other reporting options include rater comparison reports, which compare forms from different raters, such as parents or teachers. And intervention planning lets you create unlimited, custom intervention reports. You can use the filters to help identify the interventions you want in your report. As an unlimited feature, you can create as many intervention reports from your scored form as you need. Some products include additional report types, such as interpretive reports. You can also export data for further analysis. Navigating to the My Assessments bookshelf, you will find more product resources. This is where you will find online manuals, related publications, digital easels, and printable, downloadable response sheets for raters with limited computer or internet access. The Documents tab is where you'll also find scoring and report writing guides. And some products include downloadable audio files. The License tab lists products you've activated, used, or transferred to another coworker. Just click to see details. Register now and learn more about the products and services available on the WPS Online Evaluation System, or speak to one of our customer service representatives. Visit WPS today.
Okay, so first I want to know who pronounces it.
Welcome to the
Like Alice, really? Is that what you're saying? Who knew? The other question, and this would be a good thing to ask Stephanie Roberts, who is our WPS consultant, is, can we make teacher, like, are all the questions required on that? So we can maybe get no more skipped questions, maybe. Maybe, I don't know, I'm living a pipe dream. All right. Anyway, our virtual exhibit hall is available. Maggie Camp from Riverside was the only presenter that was able to be here in person. So go visit her. She's here. I saw her earlier today. So now I'm here to talk about membership. As Jake said, our membership is looking very positive. We, as of last night, we have 370 members, which is already 32 over our last year's membership. So we are growing. I'm going to click here. And then putting that into perspective, our goal for the year was to have 457 members. So we are at 81% of that goal. So that's pretty good. Some of the drivers that have led to this is there was a significant discount for fall conference. You may have noticed that, maybe. So we appreciate you coming and joining the association. It's a lot more than just fall conference. You have, I'm going to skip down to that third point. You have 20 hours of free professional, at least 20 hours of free professional learning within your membership. And if you take that into consideration, NASP, for their members, charges about $30 an hour per credit hour. And then we typically charge, like how we look at our fall conference rates is we're looking at about $15 an hour for members. So we're at half of what NASP is. And then we're doing a lot of these for free. So if you take that 20 hours and times it by 15, right, you're saving, what is that, 300? Did I do that math? $300. So I think one of the other drivers is that we had some PSUs take advantage of our institutional membership. That is an ability where the PSU pays for membership for at least 10 of their psychologists or other professionals, and they get a discount if they do that. And it's a pretty significant discount, and it increases as the more memberships you purchase. So we had 4 take advantage of that. Brunswick, Cabarrus, Rockingham, and Onslow County all paid for membership for their psychologists this year, which is great. And that adds 57 members. And I think that's just a really good opportunity for PSUs. It's showing their dedication to our professional learning. And I think it's a great positive for those PSUs. So if you need some advertising or marketing materials to take back to your own PSU, let me know, I can help you out. The other thing I wanted to do today was kind of drive you through this member portal a little bit. I don't know how many of you have explored this, but it's kind of fun. Oh good, this site can't be reached. That's awesome. I don't know why. Of course, because that's how we roll today. ncspa.memberclicks.com, right? That is the address. Are we there? Oh, y'all, this is my luck. Let's see. I'm just gonna try it again. Thanks, Jake. I know what I'm doing. No, I do not, actually. Further proof. Okay, so this is, maybe looks familiar. What probably looks more familiar is logging in here with your username and password. Let's hopefully I can remember that. Good heavens. I'm going to log in as me because that's whose password I know, in theory. All right, so then it says welcome, and it has your membership type over here. And then it has an expiration date, and that is, if it says anything other than 7/31/22, that means I haven't received your dues for the year. Love you, Nina. So take care of that. So we have this members only section. Hopefully you've looked around. It's not quite as fancy as some of the other social media and other platforms we use in life, but it's pretty fun. So you can see my profile. This is all about you. You can add a little picture if you want. You can write your status, like on Facebook. My nieces and nephews who are in their early 20s tell me that that's for old people. I'm like, okay, thanks. So you can say hi. Then below that is some of your membership data, and this is, you can change it right here on your own. No need to email me anymore, but if you want to, that's great. I love getting email. So here is all of the membership info. If you go over here to connections, this is kind of where these are like your friends. These are your NCSBA friends. And I don't have any friends right now. You guys should be my friend. But look, oh, Emily Sturkey, you want to be my friend? Thanks. Oh, I would love to be your friend. I have a connection. Aw, I love it. And then, so if I refresh that, I have Emily Sturkey as my friend. Yay. So the nice thing about this is that now that I've connected, I can come over here and I can write her a message directly. And that's great. So I can say I have a question, you know, whether about NCSBA or about work or whatnot. So you can do that. Kind of related to that is what they call circles. And it's just small groups. I have not created any circles, which is why it says no circles found. But if you click over here on all circles, you'll see Rachel Bliniak created a school psychologist in leadership circle, so that you can join that. You can, you know, for leaders, if you want to do students, whatever circles you might want, people who focus on autism, or we could do a TBI circle, or we could do an AU circle or pre-K. I mean, kind of whatever subgroup you want to do, you can add those in. The other thing, you can also add photos. I totally stole these off of Twitter last night. So here's some fall conference, but you can feel free to add to them. Like here's probably Jen Matthews from the LPP committee and her selfie that she took out front. So you can do that. So those are kind of some of the things right there within the member profile. The other thing that you can do, you can access the Online Learning Center. That's some of that free PD that we were talking about. The Lunch, Learn, and Collaborate recordings, you can access those. We also have those digital learning for school psychologist webinars that you can access. We were supposed to do those live last year, and then they ended up being asynchronous. That's our new word here, is asynchronous. Those ones do cost, just because we wanted to keep it equitable with those who did it last year, but it's kind of the same price. Oh, look, y'all, it's my baby. He's so cute. I love it. So as you notice by my distraction, we can also look at the Twitter feed over here. So for now, I lost my Zoom. You're always in the way. All right, so yes, here's the Online Learning Center. Here's our Twitter feed. Love it. The other thing you can do is look at upcoming events. So a little plug for here in a few weeks is the Lunch, Learn, and Collaborate. This next month's information is right there. We're going to be talking about cognitive assessments and racial equity. It's the 19th, and then there's a Zoom link. You don't even need to register. Once you log in, you can just click on that upcoming event tab and then click on the link and you're ready to go. If you do need accommodations in order to access this session, please let us know in advance, but we try to do our best. And then here's another link to fall conference. So hopefully this is just a way to let you connect with other school psychologists in the state, connect with with the board a little bit more, and do whatever kind of suits your fancy. If there's a function that you'd like to see on this, let me know. I can try to make that happen. I'm still very new to this, but we can work on it. So, oh, and here's the member directory too. So you can always search for somebody by their name or their employer. Again, if there's another tab, like another attribute that you want to search by, just let me know and I can add that in. So that's just a look around in our member portal. Please let me know if you have any questions about any of that. And we're good. Great. Questions for me? For me, not from me. Okay. Here you go.
Hello. My name is Leandro Commission. I'm the president-elect. So this year we have 7 people running for the various NCSK elections. We're going to either hear from them in person or we're going to watch a video that they recorded. So we have Dr. Jim Denny, who's running for president-elect. Would you like to come and say a few words, Dr. Denny?
Thank you. Thank you all for being here this morning, and those of you virtually. So the big question is why? You know, I've done this before, I've run lots of committees. I just make it simple. I've got lots of priorities. As you know, we have critical shortages in school site. One of my positions as chair with the University Council of Trainers, which we refer to the acronym IUC. I am beginning discussions with trainers, and we are going to block off the time in January to actually look at alternative models to training that hopefully would allow us to get more practitioners in the field. With the current pace that we're going, we're just never going to make it. Obviously, I want to continue our advocacy and working on our salaries. The other big thing I want to explore is national board certification, which we know counselors are eligible for. We are not eligible. So I want to do my own exploration, you know, into that area. I also want to continue our PD. In addition, I want to work with our private universities, again, to see how they can contribute to increasing our shortages. And lastly, I want to protect the profession. We have internal and external forces that are actually influencing, you know, our roles in schools, and our roles are relatively shrinking. You know, we have interventionists, we have behavioral specialists. The new hottest degree on the market online is mental health counselors who are coming into schools. So there are people who are challenging our work in mental health. Our General Assembly, externally, they're coming up with their own creative ideas of how to meet shortages if we can't do it ourselves. And in fact, recently they asked all the training programs, you know, how can you increase enrollments by, you know, 20%, or looking at contracting school psychology services out. So my style of leadership is collaborative. None of these problems do I plan to address alone. We have strong leaders now, we have strong committees, and it takes leadership to do it. I think I'm a proven leader, and I'm going to continue that leadership style if elected. And I am a past president, so, you know, I've done this before. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Denny. So our next person running for president-elect is Rachel Linehan. She couldn't be here.
Hello, fellow school psychologists, graduate students, and professors. I don't know about you, but I'm really excited for the fall conference this year, even though I'm attending virtually. I know that you're going to learn as much this year as I'm going to. I miss seeing you all in person, but I know that we'll be able to hang out again soon. My name is Rachel Gliniak, and I'm running for the NCSPA President-elect position this year. I've served as a regional representative, and I've been very active on the Legislative and Public Policy Committee. One of the things that I can say that I love the most about the association is all the camaraderie and the friendships that I've made. Over the next 3 years, I really hope to grow and expand so we can all build our relationships, both with each other and with the communities that we serve and the other professions that we work with. Being able to have those connections make the work so much easier and so much better for the students that we work with. Hello, fellow school psychologists, graduate students, and professors.
So for secretary, we have Deirdre Martin.
Good morning. I am so happy to be here with you at our first ever fall conference, our hybrid fall conference. I'm a little nervous. Okay. So a little bit about myself. I have been part of the fall conference committee for 3 years. This is my 3rd year. And it has been an interesting 2 years. So I've really grown to enjoy working with the amazing people that are part of the board, that are part of all of the committees. They're dedicated. I've learned so much being part of NCSPA. Prior to that, I was the fall raffle chair, and I did that for 2 years. So I've been attending the board meetings for 4 years now. And throughout that time, I have learned a lot about the procedures. And I feel very comfortable in the meetings, asking questions, brainstorming, problem solving. I would love to continue that work as the secretary. I'm very organized, I'm detail oriented, and those skills I can take with me into this role as secretary. Something that's very important to me is creating transparency between the board and the members. And as secretary, that is something I would like to continue working on. It's already in progress, but I'd like to continue that work.
Next, we have Britt Cooper, who's running for Coastal Regional Representative.
Hi, I'm Brett. I am from West Virginia, and new here to North Carolina. I've been a school psych for the past 7th year, and prior to that, I was a teacher for 6 months, older than I look. In West Virginia, I served on the executive board for the state as the social justice representative, and here I'm running for the region rep for the coastal region, and I'm working in Brunswick County schools. Outside of work, I enjoy kayaking and love so much.
Thank you. So for North Piedmont Regional Representative, we have Jessie Langford.
Hello, my name is Jessie Langford, and I'm a working school psychologist in Guilford County Schools, and I am running to fill the North Piedmont NCSPA representative position. I'm from the mountains of North Carolina, where I attended Western Carolina University for my undergraduate and graduate careers. I love North Carolina, and now as a working school psychologist, I feel an overwhelming need to get more involved with NCSPA and impact my home state and its students on a larger level. My focus in this position would be to build the relationships between membership and the executive board. I believe this is a skill that comes very natural to me and one that I have thrived with in the past. Whether it was working on similar committees in college or organizing events for my current department, yes, even during a pandemic, including participating in communities of practice across the state or being surrounded by the almost 50 forward-thinking minds in my own department, I always find myself reflecting on the astounding impact that we as school psychologists have on the well-being of students, teachers, and families in our communities. When we all work together, we can make real change, and there is no limit to what we can achieve. This has been proven by the past approved legislation in our state that was a direct result of the hard work from NCSPA and its members, and the continued legislative efforts we are currently making. I'm passionate about my goal of ensuring that my region is represented and heard on matters that are important to them, while also being the connection to NCSPA for the North Piedmont region school psychologists.
So for South Piedmont Regional Representative, we have Becky DuBose, sorry.
Hi, I'm Becky DuBose, and I am a school psychologist in Charlotte-Mecklenburg School System. I currently work for the NC Pre-K department, and this is my first year doing that, and it's been a lot of fun. But before that, I have worked in CMS and in Union County and in Lancaster, South Carolina, in elementary and middle and high schools. So I have 15 years of experience as a school psychologist. And before that, I was a mental health therapist for school-based mental health in Lancaster. So I am running for the South Piedmont representative for NCSPA. I really want to improve advocacy across our state and to help all the school psychologists to, find out who they can contact when they need to, so that they can advocate for themselves. So I really look forward to that and being on the team. Thanks.
And then for Mountain Regional Representative, we have Hannah Hires.
Hi, I'm Hannah Hires, and I'd love to be your Mountain Regional Representative. I'm a Western North Carolina native, and I was raised in Mars Hill, North Carolina. I obtained my Bachelor in Psychology at Western Carolina University, where I remain to complete my Specialist in School Psychology in 2019. I currently serve elementary and middle grade students, but I have experience working with students of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds. Running for the Mountain Regional Rep position is a great next step in furthering my engagement and collaboration with other psychologists in the area. Additionally, being Mountain Regional Rep aligns perfectly with my goals as a professional. These goals include advocacy for the school psychologists and the students we serve, collaboration with other passionate school psychologists at the local and state levels, and recruitment of psychologists to join us in the beautifully diverse state of North Carolina. My vision in being your Mountain Regional Representative is to assure our Mountain members are heard, supported, and up to date of important information from NCSPA. I hope you consider me to be your Mountain Regional Rep. Thank you.
And those are all of the people running for elections this year. You should have received your ballot in your email last night, and they will stay open until the end of Congress. No, October 30th, sorry.
Okay, y'all, we'll get ready to close out our time together today by with two recognitions. So for the Presidential Special Award, the President is afforded the opportunity to present a special award and recognition during fall conference. It's very, when you look at the handbook, it's very open. It says whatever the President wants to give to whomever they want to give it to for whatever purpose. So in true schools like fashion, I created criteria for myself, especially because I had a long list of people to whom I wanted, or I guess that I wanted to recognize. And so I created criteria and determined that I really wanted to present recognition and award to school psychologists specifically, and school psychologists who did 3 things over this past year. One, I'm like getting emotional about it. One, who demonstrated leadership. 2, or demonstrated leadership in our field. 2, who really collaborated with others in order to grow our knowledge as school psychologists, to grow our skills, our knowledge, and our practices. And 3, who really serve others with their work. So once I created this criteria for myself, 2 names just continually came back to me for people who really focused on leadership, growth, collaboration, and service to the field of school psychology. And so the first person is Faith Dearman. Faith chairs NCSBA's Professional Learning Committee. She grew from a committee of 1. She had a partner, so was a partner with her last year. They were a committee of 2. And then she chaired and really grew this year the committee to have 9 people, and she really embodies a shared leadership model and empowers committee members to engage their interests in order to lead professional work for our NCSBA members. She's really supported the growth in our profession through PLC work. I mean, y'all, we went from like 7 PL opportunities to 20. And so that, that's a lot of work on Faith and the PLC committee. And she's also really taken a leadership role this year in organizing and preparing for our lunch, learn, and collaborate, and to help us make it automated so that we can offer it monthly, right? So it kind of becomes a little machine. And so it's my privilege and honor if Faith would come up to recognize Faith.
You want to say his award? Oh, no. You can, you don't have to, it's up to you.
I'd like to thank the Academy. I don't have a lot to say, I was getting emotional too, but just a deep, deep thank you to all of you. We can't do the work alone, and I think that this community of school psychologists has really band together, especially these past 2 years of the pandemic. And, I might be getting a special award now, but it's been a collaborative effort. And I feel like we should all get awards because, with the, I'm grateful, but thank you.
The second person I want to recognize today, I'll probably get emotional about this too, is Kiera Wilmore. So Kiera joined NCSBA last year, I think for the first time, and not only did she join as a member, but she stepped up to join committees. She joined PLC for a while and joined Racial Equity Ad Hoc. And again, so she joined as a member, served in leadership on committees, and then also volunteered to serve as a presenter at 2 of our LLCs. She presented on self-care and presented on equity. All of this while working full-time, and then while also founding and being the executive director of School Psych Systems, which is a nonprofit organization that supports enrichment, advancement, and retention of women of color in the field of school psychology. And so Kiera's done a lot to impact the field and recognizing there's a space and a support system, and as an early career school psychologist has worked to provide that space. So it's a privilege and an honor to recognize Kiera Wilmore for the impact she's had on the field of school psychology this past year and the service and leadership she has provided.
on.
All right, thank you so much, Jackie. I really appreciate this. Like Faith said, it feels weird to be up here getting an award for something that you just do because, you know, that's what you're supposed to do, right? I have grown a lot this year, and I think that Raleigh County and also NCSBA has helped me really do that. And for me, it's all about just trying to impact my community however I feel fit, and just trying to make those small changes that actually can make a world of difference. So I'm very thankful for Jackie for giving me this award. I see some great people in here, phenomenal people that I've met through this experience, and I'm just elated, to be honest, and just so thankful for the support system that I have in this room. Thank you so much.
Okay, y'all, so as we close out our time together through the session, starting seeing, thank you for coming to membership meeting. Thank you for coming to fall conference to connect, engage, and support one another. And we'll be around as you, board members, executive board members, and committee chairs are often identified, ribbons on the name tag, and part of that is so if we collectively as members, if you have questions, concerns, thoughts, ideas to share, you can find people easily. And so as we mill around today, please ask questions if you're interested in getting, or if you're interested in getting involved in any of the work, contact to us, and we'll be reaching out to you as well. We just appreciate everyone's time and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thanks, y'all.